Welcome to this week's edition of Congleton Chronicled. You've got a change of face. I'm Vic Brown, and I'm one of the members of the Congleton Community TV team. I'd like to say that we gave Mark the sack, but he's just having a little bit of time off, and I'm having to fill the place. With me is James Jackson, the deputy editor of the Congleton Chronicled, and he's going to tell us all about the really exciting things that have been happening in our wonderful town. James, lovely to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Nice to see you do a great job, Vic, in Mark's absence.
Have you finished your holidays for this this year?
Yeah, for the moment.
For a while. It's all play and no work with you, isn't it?
They're always pulling my leg, aren't they, the other two?
I bet they are. But I tell you what, the people you send to actually cover for you are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
they're an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
I do think there's a fighting chance we'll see Mel on
sure we will.
BBC Northwest, so you better look after her. Right, so we've had a bit of an exciting week, and one of the things that really has been a bit of a shock is the closure of the Victoria Mill shops.
That's right, Vic, unfortunately. Yeah, so they've basically been given the tenants in there, mainly antique dealers, picture framer, artists, and a cafe on the top floor. They've been given a month to clear out, really. It's been there for a good few years, and the antique centre's particularly popular. But we've tried to speak to the owners, Cheshire Demolition Properties, who've been unavailable. So earlier this week for our story, we went down to the mill to speak to some of the tenants who are going to be affected, and they're pretty upset, to say the least. Like our headline says, that one was devastated, and some customers have been in tears when they heard that it was shutting,
I've got to admit that actually I only discovered it the other day for the first time, but when I did, I was so impressed with the range of products there are in there, quality products.
They are top antiques. The thing is with the mill where it is, I mean, it's a big mill, but the geography of it's on Foundry Banks, it's on a slope, so it doesn't really, it's hidden, if you like, from the town centre. But like some of the dealers told me for my story, it's got a big draw, so it gets a lot of people from around and about, from a long way off, coming to Congleton. Not only, they'll come to the mill to do the antiques, but, coming to town, and that, they're not going to be coming anymore, which is a pity.
So have you any idea how many people it actually affects? How many small businesses? Because
there's a good half a dozen or so, if not more, which isn't a lot, but I think, like I said earlier, it's what they bring to the town. And they bring all the BBC's main antique shows have all been filmed there. Mm-hmm. In fact, what I think is Antique Road Trip, they were telling me, were filming there a month ago. And unfortunately, I can't remember which other, they didn't say which other one was due to film, but they've had to cancel that because it's shutting at the end of May. End of April, sorry. So they got to the end of this month to clear out. And they were saying once news got out that it was shutting, they've had queues at the door at the weekend. People coming in, the customers, and I was speaking to a couple from Sandbach who go there, and they just they don't necessarily buy antiques, but they think it's almost like a museum. They're just fascinated with all the items on sale, and they like taking the young grandchildren there who can't believe that people used to use things like they can't believe that there must have been an old steam iron from the very old days on sale there, and the grandkids couldn't believe that, Grandma, how come we never used to use an electric eye and stuff like that, So, but anyway, it's very sad. I mean, hopefully, one of the dealers we were talking to, they say apparently the reason is just the upkeep of the maintenance of the 160-year-old mill fabric. But the other thing that the dealers were having a go at really were the government's rise in national insurance and various taxes, and the knock-on effect for them. It's been difficult to cover the overheads, etc. So sad to see that go, but it'd be interesting to see what happens, because it's a huge building, obviously being an old mill, and it's where, bit of history note, it's where the Congleton's Beresford's ribbons factory was originally set up, I believe. So it's got a rich history as well. So hopefully people suggested it might be turned into apartments. We'll see what happens, Vic.
it'll be interesting to see. Are there any signs of any alternative locations which might come up?
Well, one of them, we spoke to Bob Weaver, who many people in Congleton will know. Bob, he owns Weaver Crafts, which is a well-established, his own picture framing business at the mill. And people need to read the Chronicles to hear his story, but he's got quite a fascinating story about how he set up there. And he is gutted, but he is hoping. It's early days, but he's considering finding an alternative location in Congleton for his business. So well, fingers crossed for Bob.
I mean, there is a church that's been up for sale and
there is that
auction,
well, that's another story.
That won't come cheap, will it?
No, it won't. But now that we'll have to keep. That's still. I mean, digressing a bit, but that's still not been sold. I think it's it still might be going under the auction again soon. Actually,
well, let's hope it does, because a place like that is a great visitor attraction apart from anything else,
huge.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I used to love going up to a similar place which was in Morecambe. It was the highlight of a visit to Morecambe, really, in truth. We have to hope that there's a favourable outcome for the tenants as well as
that's right,
for the building.
A lot of them are speaking to one. He's a guy. He's got another. He's a dealer who's got a place at the Victoria Mill, but he's also got a unit in Bakewell, so he has got another place to sell. But he says it's not as big as the mill's ideal for him, because it's such a big. There's such a big space to put their antiques basically in Victoria Mill here, but it's not for much longer, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hey, the winds of change.
That's right.
Not good. Another thing that's not so good. Somebody has been helping themselves to eggs from an honesty box.
Yeah, it's sad, really, Vic. So everyone, I'm sure, will be aware of honesty boxes, but just to explain, people will sell eggs, fresh veg, fruit, etc., from these honesty boxes they put at the end of the lane outside a farm. But since the pandemic and lockdowns, some have cropped up around Congleton in the more urban area, the more built-up areas, shall we say, as opposed to in the rural areas. And there's a couple who live near Asprey Lane ends in Congleton, and they've enjoyed selling eggs and other produce from their honesty box, but sadly at the moment they've had to bring it to an end because some of the eggs were going missing, and the change from the box that they leave, the cash box that they left, which is really sad. I mean, this couple as well, because it's near Asprey Golf Club, they even sell golf balls that had gone stray over the boundary of the club,
Well, that's all right, providing you don't pick up the golf balls and thinking they're like hard-boiled quail's eggs or something like that, isn't it?
Shock, wouldn't you? But but I thought it was quite an interesting line how, like I said, since the pandemic, these boxes have cropped up, and like the lady in the article said, it saves people, especially if they're older, it saves people having to go into town to get the necessaries. You can't get everything from an honesty box, but, a few apples maybe, cauliflower, some eggs, they can just nip to the honesty box around the corner sort of thing. But this couple, they shut it at the moment, unfortunately, but they're reconsidering opening it to sell seasonal fruit and veg in the summer. So hopefully that is the case. I
mean, the sad thing is that it's such a small thing to want to steal, isn't it?
It is.
Which shows that there are some people around town
that are dishonest.
We presume are either very dishonest or very needy.
But don't you think that it's lovely, something quaint about honesty boxes? I know you usually see them at the end of a nice country, a lane leading up to a little small holding or something. But it's great that they've come more into towns like Congleton. Yeah. But sad that they're having to shut them because people are nicking the money on the eggs.
It's not on.
No.
It's not on. Okay, so...
Have we got time for two more?
I think we've got time for two more. And this one's an interesting one, and I actually witnessed this one.
Right, okay.
I was driving back from Road Farmers Market, and suddenly I'm aware of this enormous stream of traffic which went right the way back from Asprey.
Yes.
Right the way down to the roundabout and probably beyond that. And it turns out it was something to do with K-pop.
I'll explain, Vic.
I'm glad you do, because at my age, it's difficult to keep up with these things.
I don't know that much, but we had to research it, obviously. So basically, like you said, Vic, there was an event, and many people know Glebe Farm in Asbury, a farm that diversified from traditional farming a year ago, and it's become a huge success with various business units there, things for children to do, alpacas, etc., etc. Anyway, over the Easter weekend, some of the tenants that are based at Glebe Farm organised for. I mean, it would have been busy anyway over the Easter weekend, but they organised for a free K-pop event. Now, K-pop, Bob, the K stands for Korean. So Korean pop has become a huge phenomenon amongst the kids of today. You know, it's everywhere. Loads of programmes about it on Netflix. And what was going on at Glebe Farm was that they hosted what is called a free K-pop Demon Hunters tribute act. And basically, because it's so popular, it got really crowded to the extent that a concerned mother who took her child there got in touch with the Chronicle afterwards to say how much of a crush it was. It's almost too popular. No one could move. Things sounded like it got a bit chaotic. And like you said earlier, chock-a-block of traffic. Anyway, the upshot is that the owners of Glebe Farm said it wasn't us that organised it, it was the tenants. And then the tenants, we got in touch with them, and they've issued a sincere apology, really, saying it was very successful, but we understand that because of the crowds, it upset a lot of people because they couldn't move, etc., etc. You know, there's a lot of jostling going on, I think, you know. And like you said, you know, where it is, it's a particularly, you know, Peel Lane up that way, it's a particularly still a narrow lane, and it gets mightily busy, not least when huge or big events like this happen at Glebe Farm. I think the owners of Glebe Farm mentioned that, you know, they're involved in events later towards the summer, things like Alstonbury, which is a bit of a local music festival where it's all organised, and it's you know, it's happened year after year, so everyone knows what the turnout. This seems like a bit of a one-off, and it seems like it's a bit of a victim of its own success.
Unfortunate, I think, is the word that comes to mind, because Glebe Farm itself is immensely popular.
It is, definitely.
You know, hopefully it doesn't reflect too much on what they do there, or the businesses they have there.
I know, and they do. You know, it attracts a lot of people there. Yeah.
And finally, we've got not quite breaking news, but. Somebody who's been working very, very hard, I know, within Congleton Town Council, is thinking of spending his time in the Bahamas or something. No, perhaps it's not Bahamas, it's even further than the Bahamas, isn't it?
So what the story is, Vic, is that David McGifford, who's the chief officer, the head honcho basically, the chief officer at Congleton Town Council, he's retiring after 10 years as chief officer. Retirement's coincided with the fact that he wants to go out to Australia in October to follow his daughter, who's playing for Wales in the Women's Rugby World Cup, which is a nice line.
Well, I'm glad it's Wales, given that I got my degree out of Wales as well.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm Welsh as well. So
I try not to support them too much, but you know, I do.
So that's a nice line. But we've spoken to David, and people again need to read the Chronicle for the full story, but it's quite an interesting background where he's worked previously during his career, and not least quite for the way the story is, the stressful time he had in the interview process for getting a job at Congleton Town Council, which is quite interesting. But we thought we'd run that story and mention it today because, you know, everyone knows the Congleton Town Council, and the top guy there, he's called in it a day.
I must admit, I've met David. He's not the sort of person that really wants to shout about what he does. But he's really good at just getting on with the job, and he's got the whole of the council to manage.
And he set up. People might not know it in Congleton, but he set up. We covered it in our Sandbach edition. But some years ago, he set up the Sandbach Enterprise Centre, which became on quite a successful setup in Sandbach, and he also worked at South East Cheshire Chamber as well, the Chamber of Enterprise, which involves Congleton. So a lot of people know David.
an experience like that's very important, isn't
It
it?
is.
Because we have to get this balance between
Yeah.
fun events and
Yeah.
leisure
Yeah.
and being aware how the business community works.
Yeah.
No doubt he's had quite an influence on the way in which the Congleton Quarter has developed
Yeah.
and the effect that that's had in
Yeah.
revitalising
Yeah.
the life of the town.
Yeah, well, the town council, and more so in recent, over the years, as the years progress, has wanted to support. Yeah, it's a public authority, but it's at the heart of Congleton. It wants, it wants and needs to support Congleton's businesses as much as it can, and as well, there's a lot of changes going on in local government in the last few years, and he'll have been at the helm of that as far as what how that's impacting on the way the town council is run as well.
It's something which we'll have to watch, isn't it?
Yeah,
in
that's
terms
right,
of
that-
the elections which
Yeah.
will be taking place in May
Yeah.
for other town
Other
councils.
town
I
councils,
think.
yeah, but they're here next year, but that'll soon come around.
That will
Yeah.
soon come around. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll be affected as well,
Yeah.
being a parish councillor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a chance for me to hang up my boots as well. Not thought about
you
that.
can't do that.
Anyway, James, as ever, it's a pleasure to be talking with
That's
you.
great. That's great stuff.
And what a great town we have.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
What a great town.
And the sun's shining today on it.
Hey, long may it continue. So, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed that edition. And we're going to sign off at that. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.